Deputy.
Thank you very much. Minister, the government decision in 2012 to reduce the number of army brigades in the Defence Force from 3 to 2 has had, according to experienced army personnel, destructive strategic consequences on Defence Force's operational output, critical intelligence capability and, very importantly as well, recruitment and retention of personnel. Recently at the Oireachtas Committee of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Defence, the Secretary-General of RACO, Commandant Conor King, stated very clearly that a disproportionate number of the 3,600 personnel who have voluntarily left from the Defence Force in the past 3 years have been from former units of the 4th Western Brigade, which was disestablished in 2012 by that government decision.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. You have 2 minutes.
The White Paper on Defence approved by Government in July 2015 comprehensively deals with all aspects of defence policy and was informed by a wide-ranging consultation process. Retention of the Army's 2-brigade structure is among the commitments outlined in the White Paper. This involved the removal of a layer of middle and senior management associated with having a brigade headquarters, which was helped to bring the size of the current 2-brigade closer to international norms. The 2-brigade structure led to the consolidation of previously under-strength units into smaller numbers in full-strength units and a reduction in the number of headquarters with the associated redeployment of personnel from administrative and support functions into operational units. The change to the present structure eliminated the situation whereby operational units were under strength, while at the same time too many personnel were involved in carrying out non-operational administrative and support functions. The White Paper on Defence resulted from a comprehensive examination of defence requirements, and it reaffirmed the Government's commitment to the 2-brigade army structure and stated that it will remain in place. The structure has enhanced the deployability and sustainability of the Defence Forces both at home and overseas. It is important that these benefits are maintained, as they are in keeping with measures across the public service where the focus continues to be on increasing operational outputs and reducing unnecessary bureaucracy. Furthermore, notwithstanding the recognised recruitment and retention challenges faced, it is notable that overseas operations have continued at a higher tempo in recent years. I am satisfied that the increase in numbers in serving Ireland's overseas has been facilitated since we moved to a 2-brigade structure by the focus on ensuring increased operational capacity. I am satisfied that the current structure optimises the capacity of the Army to continue to fulfil the roles assigned by Government, and as such there are no plans to change the current 2-brigade structure of the Defence Forces.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy, a minute for your first supplementary.
Thank the Minister for his reply. Minister, with regard to consultation, indeed I have heard and spoken to very experienced and distinguished army personnel who have distinguished themselves both at home and abroad working for our state, that it was non-military elements dominated the discussions that led to decision-making to disband, to disestablish the 3rd Brigade. Minister, as you know, before 2012 reorganisation, there were 5 operational units in Dublin. After that reorganisation, there remains only 2 operational units in Dublin, and that has led directly, I understand, to the requirement for troops from barracks in Athlone, Dundalk and Donegal travelling to Dublin in rotation to carry out routine barrack duties, which before reorganisation were carried out from members of the 5 operational units stationed in Dublin. Surely it makes no common sense, no strategic sense, no financial sense to be bringing personnel from Finner Camp in South Donegal, from Athlone and from Aiken Barracks in Dundalk to carry out routine duties in Dublin. Now, anybody who would say that a reorganisation that resulted in that type of transient personnel, people working one day in Finner, another few days then in Rathmines in Dublin, that makes no sense. And if somebody suggests that that was a good strategic move, I would say that want to go back to the drawing board again and take a look at that reorganisation that has, in my view, influenced by people I've spoken to with great experience in the Army, people very committed to our state, that they would say that there are huge flaws in that reorganisation that took place.
Minister, to respond.
Deputy, decision taken in 2012 were on the basis of recommendations brought forward by the then Secretary-General of the Department of Defence and the then Chief of Staff of the Defence Forces, which were aimed at ensuring the most effective operational structures within a stabilised strength ceiling of 9,500 permanent Defence Forces personnel. The reorganisation proposals at the time were developed collaboratively by senior and military management, and I know very well that there was a senior military management team working on the reorg at the time and what was the best for the organisation. But I think the reorg of 2012 have created many opportunities for people, and one such opportunity was the increased number of people that were able to go overseas on peacekeeping duties. And I think if you look at the record over the last number of years, that we have a high number of people who had an opportunity to go overseas in peacekeeping duties, and that is one of the reasons why people join the Defence Forces. I'm not saying that we haven't had challenges since the reorg. Absolutely, we have a huge amount of challenges, and the retention issue that we have at the moment are also causing some of the challenges that we have, and that is why I would like to get back up to 9,500 personnel, and the Defence Forces are fully funded for 9,500 personnel to get back up to that.
Minister, 2012 was a political decision influenced by the officials in the Department of Defence, not by military decision making. Minister, could I just say with regard to retention of personnel, over the years I have attended many parades in Cavan and different functions when we had Dooney Nail barracks, and I knew many of the people who have served, generations of families who have served with distinction abroad. Could I just say, I quoted a figure earlier, Minister, which showed very clearly that the biggest loss of personnel has been from the areas that were previously part of the Western Brigade. And again, Minister, it's clear as well that towns that have lost that history, that have lost the contact with their barracks, where there are generations of families joined the army, served their country with great distinction, that ownership, that community that the army generated, that's being lost, and that has contributed to us losing people, and it has also contributed to less people in those areas applying to join the army. And Minister, in conclusion, could I just say that the army element of Defence Forces is wrongly oriented. It's very oriented to the south and the east and the southeast. We want to realise that, unfortunately, there's a border in our country. It'll be there for another few years, I'm sure. And the 499-kilometre border with Northern Ireland is now overseen from a Defence Forces perspective from the headquarters of the 2nd Infantry Brigade located in Rathmines, Dublin. I believe that dealing with the border area, that we need that local decision-making and that knowledge to be gathered and that decision-making made in the local area. And Minister, I spoke to you before and I had parliamentary questions with you and mentioned a committee as well, the need to consider again restoring Dooney Nail barracks in Cavan. We have a central border area now where you have Finner Camp in South Donegal and Aiken Barracks in Dundalk. The central border area is without a military installation, unfortunately. Thank you, Cahirig.
I know, and I hope you accept that you know that the security of the state rests with on Garda Síochána, and I know that the Defence Forces have a very close relationship with on Garda Síochána when it comes to security of the state. But Deputy, and I mean this in the best of terms, that we should be looking forward rather than looking back. And I do take on board your views where there was barracks previously where we're now not getting recruitment from those areas. And look, it's probably one of the hardest decisions is, look, you've been in government when military barracks has been closed down. I've been in government when military barracks has been closed down. And it's not a nice thing for an area. You do sympathise with an area because you do see that there is a huge appetite for people in those areas want to join the Defence Forces, and after a number of years, when the barracks maybe are gone or whatever, you do see a decrease of people wanting to join the Defence Forces, and that is where we have to look at and change the recruitment that we're doing, and that is one of the reasons why I have a review of recruitment going on. How do we get it back into the communities where we had barracks previously? And that is one of the reasons that has frustrated me, that we have to look at recruitment totally differently than what we're doing so at the moment. And there is an ongoing process at the moment where an independent chair is in looking at the review of recruitment. It was part of the Independent Pay Commission material as well. But the white paper published last week suggests that where we need more people are in the areas of cyber, safety management, and like the critical mass where we had people previously mightn't be suitable for that area now. That we have different security threats to the state now, and I think we have have to reflect that as well in the decision in around recruitment and retention.